Hey everybody, we're picking up right where we left off in the last episode of iRacing for Beginners, which was about all the different options and settings in Sim, as well as mapping buttons, programming hotkeys, and so on. We're in the garage now, so basically what we did was simply hit this button that says garage, and this is where when you join a session, you might not have the right setup. See, we're in the Class B Chevrolet Camaro, the NASCAR Xfinity Series car at Pocono, and we're going to want to find that setup. So if we go to iRacing Setups, we can scroll through all the fixed setups iRacing has to offer. Now, maybe there's a shared setup from another driver in the session with you. You can find those here, click on that, load it up. If you have your own setups, they'll pop up in here where you would have to drag them to the iRacing Documents folder, find the setup folder for that specific car, drop it in there, and it'll pop up right here instantly for you to use. But while looking through the garage, you have a lot of different options. You can see your tires, you can adjust your air pressures, you'll see the hot pressures after you make a run, your tire temperature, and your tread remaining, which is kind of the telltale sign of how much you're wearing your tires and how well they have or have not lasted over the course of a run. So those are going to be some videos down the road on how to manage your tires and do a better job behind the wheel, but today we're just learning more about the garage. If you go to the chassis area, you'll see a lot of different options to build an iRacing setup. And this is one of my favorite parts about iRacing. Not only are the tracks real-life scans, three-dimensional scans where it picks up every bump, seam, crack, just transition of the surface, but the cars are scanned. So not only do they look super realistic inside and out, but they drive pretty realistic because of the physics that have been built into the game's engine. You can even work on your own car setups, and that's what the pros do. Open setup racing is a whole nother thing. I personally like to race fixed setup because I like to just hop on, be on the same setup as everyone else, and see where I stack up. But the actual open setup settings are a blast just because of the fact that you could be involved in the building process, much like racing in real life. So you can adjust your steering ratio, steering offset, brake bias, and so much more. Springs, shocks, rebounds in the shocks, the actual compressions of the shocks, camber, caster, toe, track bar, truck arm heights and mounting points. So much more. If you don't understand what all these things are, these are a lot of things you could read about online in books, and even on iRacing, kind of as we discussed in the last video, you can hover over each setting and it'll actually tell you what it does. So for example, spring rate, how stiff the spring is. It'll tell you to use the spring perch adjustment to get your ride heights proper to pass inspection, because you might not pass inspection. Let's see if we can go way down on this and hit apply. See if nothing fails. So if we go, there we go. So if we go way far, it'll say the ride height's too high on the right front. It could also be too low, but you might get yellow where it's barely in the clear, and then obviously clear where it's not pushing the limits at all. So you can learn how to adjust everything and learn about what each change actually does to the car by reading about it. And what's even more fun than that is actually making the change and feeling it for yourself, being your own crew chief. Changing this right rear spring, making it stiffer, going out on track and seeing how it adjusts or shifts the balance of the car, adjusts the handling of it. And then you can just work on it and make it better, make it handle better, make the car go faster. And that's the beauty in racing that we all love, is teams that can build the fastest car, and to be able to be your own crew chief or mechanic in a way and make your car go faster while also being the one driving it is so fun. Really cool feature of iRacing. It's not just all fixed setups, but obviously, like I said, you can easily hover over and learn what each thing does, how it affects the attitude of the car or the balance of the car, and you could feel it for yourself in real time by clicking done and accepting those adjustments. If not, you could hit cancel, discard setup changes, yes. So now we're back on the fixed setup. We could put in notes here if we want to type on them and save it if it's a setup we adjusted or built on our own. Other than that, we just hit done and hit test, get back behind the wheel, and start driving again. So now we could test the adjustments we've made, go back, work on it some more. Maybe we're happy with it, we keep it, and we move on to our first ever race session, which leads us to the next episode of iRacing for Beginners. Kept this one short and sweet, just navigating the garage box on iRacing. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for the support. As always, the series has been a ton of fun so far, and we're only about halfway through. There's a lot more exciting content to come, and hopefully you all are learning a lot. It's been refreshing for me to even go through and recall some of these things that maybe I forgot about or didn't even use. So it's just kind of bringing it back in my own mind and practicing what I'm preaching, so to speak. So I know I'm going to look back on these videos when I need them at time to time. So hopefully you do as well. If you are not already just starting out, maybe you have been around and you find these videos useful. So if you do, leave a like, and I will see you all in the next episode.